Howdy folks, and welcome back for yet another quick review. Today, we'll be put out to pasture. Wait, that came out wrong. What I meant to say is that we'll be taking a look at one of the latest and greatest films out there. That's right, it's The Sheep Detectives. And no, that isn't a joke. So take a seat, grab some grass and dandelions, and get ready for an exciting tale the likes of which only sheep can provide. To start, let's get a bit into the background of this film. The Sheep Detectives is a 2026 murder mystery comedy film that is based on the novel 3 Bags Full by Leonie Swan. I have no idea if the book is decent or not, but hey, it was apparently good enough to get a film based off of it. The film was directed by Kyle Balda, who apparently directed a couple of the Minions films. In fact, his work mainly seems to consist of either animated or CGI-heavy films, where he normally worked as an animator before moving up in the ranks. We'll get a bit into the CGI quality later on. The film was written by Craig Mazin, who is best known for, wait, what the heck, he helped create Chernobyl and The Last of Us? Apparently before that he was into making comedies as well, which tracks with some of the tone of this film going between emotional, drama-filled moments and some pretty humorous dialogue. But hey, I'm getting ahead of myself again. The film features an all-star cast with Hugh Jackman being in it for just the beginning. Although he was certainly a big part of the marketing. Guess they took a lesson from Godzilla 2014? Other notable names include Bryan Cranston, who I was just thinking about, Regina Hall, Patrick Stewart, Emma Thompson, and Chris O'Dowd, and many, many more folks who had an opportunity to voice CGI sheep. The film was produced by Working Title Films, real creative there, Three Strange Angels, and Lord Miller Productions. The film was distributed here in the US by Amazon MGM Studios and released internationally by Sony Pictures Releasing International. Duh. The 109-minute long film released on May 2nd for early access screenings, and then released everywhere on May 8th. So far it has only made around $28 million on a budget of $75 million. Hopefully word of mouth will pick up, especially since there isn't really much out right now for general audiences. With all that out of the way, let's go a bit into the story, shall we? So, outside of a small town in rural England, a shepherd named George Hardy, Hugh Jackman, takes care of his herd of sheep. Every night he reads them murder mystery novels. Then one stormy night, the shepherd is murdered, and is up to an inept police officer, a reporter, and a whole gaggle of sheep to solve the crime. It's going to take all of their knowledge and skills, as there are multiple suspects in the small town, who all may have had a reason to kill George. Very curious. So my thoughts on the overall story is that it has a surprising bit of depth to it. Like it isn't Sherlock Holmes level of mystery and intrigue, but for casual viewers, it'll leave you guessing for a bit. However, the real core comes from the cast itself. As you can see from the trailer footage I'm showing, this is a live-action film that is filled with CGI animated, photorealistic sheep. And unlike, let's say, Disney's Lion King live-action remake, this film actually does a good job at making the critters emotive and expressive while still keeping them on model. It's almost like hiring an animator to help direct your film that has half of its cast animated is a good idea. Who woulda thunk? Anyways, the cast helps create a sort of emotional core to the center of the movie that really endears you to all of the shenanigans that the sheep get involved in. The film lives or dies by its premise. I'm a 30-year-old man. In all honesty, you'd think I wouldn't have much to say about a quote-unquote generic family film. But you know what? I actually do. The story itself is an excellent vehicle to serve some rather snappy dialogue that the sheep generate. The humans are alright, but those sheep, man, they have their own culture and beliefs and customs. It's kinda shocking just how much lore there is to being a sheep. It helps set up some great emotional moments that even made me tear up a bit from time to time. And the mystery itself, as mentioned before, isn't the most groundbreaking thing. But for people who have, let's say, children, I think it's a great way to get them involved in the mystery genre. It isn't often that you get a sort of general murder mystery film that's for all audiences. I think that's rare even. I think children will have a lot of fun putting the clues together in their heads as adorable CGI sheep walk them through the film. And as for the adults, well, there's enough charm alone that I think it'll leave you smiling a bit. I don't believe that films like these can only be enjoyed by children. There's very much a consideration that's taken to ensure that older audiences also get enjoyment out of the film. Mainly because I don't think it tries to talk down to the viewer or dumb down any of the stakes. The murder mystery itself is played out pretty straight. It's the characters themselves that provide the levity. There's nothing funny about how George dies, but there is plenty of fun to be had with the sheep trying to investigate it. Speaking of the sheep, I think the characters in this film were all done very well. I don't think anyone will be receiving an Oscar for this film. I mean, if I had it my way, they would. But that's okay. Not every film needs to be the next Casablanca or Citizen Kane. Sometimes you just get a film about a bunch of sheep solving a murder, and that's okay. I think that out of all the sheep, my personal favorite was one named Mopple, who was played by Chris O'Dowd. Not only is that sheep extremely adorable, he also has a lot of emotional weight going on. It's amazing how one character can really just help elevate an entire film. He isn't even the protagonist. That would probably be Lily, who was played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, the so-called smartest sheep of the herd. She also did an incredible job playing a CGI farm animal. Much better than whatever was going on with Animal Farm. And as for the humans, well, they're a bit like cartoon characters, and that some are very one-dimensional. But there are others like Officer Tim Derry, who is played by Nicholas Braun, that start off as just the most comedic relief character imaginable. But as the film progresses, he starts to develop more as a character. Sure, it's nothing we haven't seen before, but still a welcome sight. Now, as stated before, the sheep in this film are CGI mostly. And my god, these are some of the best CGI animals I've seen in a film. It's weird to think just how much CGI has advanced over the past, I want to say 30 or so years, at least since I was born. In fact, I want to give a shout out to Framestore, who are a British special effects studio based in London. They, alongside Clear Angel Studios, really did a stupendous job on the effects of this film. Probably hopes that there aren't a lot of explosions or anything. So most of the budget probably just went towards CGI sheep and grass. Oh yeah, maybe a small boatful for Hugh Jackman in the 5 minutes he had in this film. It's amazing what $75 million can get you. They certainly did a better job animating this film than, let's say, Disney does with their live-action remakes. Sure, the Lion King remake is visually impressive, technically. But this film here just has so much soul put into it. And there's a lot of CGI sheep in this film. This isn't like a Godzilla situation where it's an hour and 50 minutes of people talking while you only get 10 minutes of giant monsters or whatever. The sheep are very much the focus of the film. Again, it helps when the most expensive part is the fake sheep. Finally, let's talk a little bit about the music. For this film, the music was composed by Christoph Beck. I'll be honest, I don't remember most of the music in this film, unfortunately. That's not to say that the composer did a bad job. I just think that his soundtrack sorta faded into the background for me because I was so engrossed with the film itself. The only bit I could remember was the end credits song, and that's because it's the classic I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles by the Proclaimers. It's a good song, mind you, but again, that was the only bit of music I could remember. So, overall, would I recommend The Sheep Detectives? And my answer would be, if you aren't in the mood for most films in the theaters right now, this is one that I would definitely recommend that you check out. I don't think it's really the most extraordinary thing, but by God, it has so much heart put into it, you just want to see the film succeed. It has a fun cast full of voices and actors. The CGI is very impressive. And honestly, it's the sort of film that no matter what age you are, I'm sure you'll get some enjoyment out of it. It takes me back to films like Chicken Run, Babe, and The Great Mouse Detective. Family films that sometimes had some darker elements to them. Films that didn't really talk down to their audience. What I'm trying to say is that I felt sort of nostalgic for simpler times while watching this. We live in a world where most big films being released are either sequels or spin-offs. And sometimes those can be good, but it's also nice to see something more original. Sure, it's technically an adaptation of a book, but who here watching this has even read the book before? Now, I'm gonna let y'all in on something. This was the last film I saw at my local theater. It's closing for good soon after I post this review. Theaters aren't doing too well right now. And this isn't some sort of bleeding heart, please save the theaters sort of thing. Honestly, I don't know how to feel. On one hand, I hadn't been to that theater in a while. But on the other, I used to go all the time as a kid. In a way, the Sheep Detectives brought me some closure. I started out watching family films in that theater. One of the first ones I saw was the freaking Powerpuff Girls movie, for crying out loud. I dunno, it just feels like everything's gone full circle for me. I saw something that brought back those memories, in that place that has started to become a shell. I said my goodbyes and gave my thanks to a place that sort of started my love for film. And if there's one thing that the Sheep Detectives taught me, is that it's okay to have bittersweet memories. It's okay for us to carry these thoughts that sort of hurt. It hurts knowing that a place I grew up with is now gone. That's painful. But I'm also happy that I had the time to go there again. One last film for old time's sake. I don't have anything physical to remind me of that place, but I do have the feelings that this film gave me, and maybe that's all I really need.